Yesterday being Sri Ramakrishna Jayanti, we saw how he played an important role in the life of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. How he started the very process of his search for God. Now, I heard something this morning that when Srimati Tilakavati Rajashekar and her people had come to see Bhagavan when he was under the Punnai tree, Sri Ganeshana of Ramanashram was also there. Very rarely Bhagavan dropped hints about his wandering days. Those 7 years, from 1952 to 59, it was one of those occasions that Bhagavan spoke about it. He said when he went to the shrine of Bhagavan Ramakrishna in Belur Math, as soon as he entered, something gripped him and he went into ecstatic dancing. He began to roll on the floor with overwhelming ananda. He said he could not help it. Such was the beautiful grace there, the power of Ramakrishna. It overwhelmed him, and that he was unable to contain himself. And before he knew, he was rolling on the floor, completely ecstatic. Now we shall go on to one of the experiences of the devotees. There's a couple, the devotees of Bhagavan know them, Sri Perumal Raju Ayya and Mahalakshmi Amma, the teachers from Krishnagiri. They've always been very special to Bhagavan. Bhagavan told me that the couple, right from the time of their marriage, they had lived a very pure life like Ramakrishna and Sharadama. Bhagavan always treated them in a very special way. They also used to come from Krishnagiri every weekend to have the darshan of Bhagavan at Sannadhi Street House. When the birthday of Sri Perumal Raju Ayya came, they naturally rushed to Tiruvannamalai for darshan. Of course, Bhagavan, as usual, with great love and tenderness, welcomed them. Oh Perumal, Mahalakshmi, please come. And then something strange happened. That's what people thought around. He called Mahalakshmi Amma to come near. He peeled a green banana and started to feed her, piece by piece. Sri Perumal Raju Ayya was an evolved soul. He kept smiling. He understood Bhagavan's ways always and responded in kind. So one after the other, Bhagavan with so much love and care, was feeding Mahalakshmi, and she too was overwhelmed. There was a man who was working in one of those government offices. He was also privileged to bring food for Bhagwan every day. He was watching the whole thing, and he knew it was the birthday of Shri Perumal Raju Ayya. But all that Bhagwan was doing was pay special attention to his wife. He could not contain himself, his curiosity, and he asked, Swami, today it is Perumal Raju's birthday, Jayanti day, but you're not paying much attention to him. Bhagwan smiled and then said, what do you know about this beggar's work? What is involved in this beggar's work? Now that you have asked, this beggar feels that he cannot take food from you anymore. So one should always be very, very careful, especially Jnanis like Yogi Ramsuratkumar. They are like fire. There is no way we could play with them, with words. We should always accept their ways as fair and a blessing. We cannot try to understand them by our standards. It was not that Bhagwan got angry, but Bhagwan's ways were mysterious. In some way or the other, this man's talk out of turn would have disturbed his father's work. And it was no more acceptable for him to take food from this man. I had seen Bhagwan at work at various levels, in various dimensions. Impossible to describe them, nor would people understand the kind of work he was doing at the cosmic level. Whatever he said, whatever he did, was spontaneous and it was in tune with the whole cosmos. It was not individuals that he attended to, though it looked like it to an onlooker. But it involved much more than what met the eye. I remember once when I was pleading all the time, begging inside. Never would I dare ask outside, but I could not help the racing of my thoughts. And I used to beg him for some service or the other, some personal service. So one day, all of a sudden, he gave me a very sharp glance and said,
do you know, yogis are like fire. One should not play with them.
I was taken aback. I did not really speak out anything. Some thoughts were running in my mind. This longing was there for personal service to him. Bhagwan was always unpredictable. You would never know what he would say next, what he would do next. But whatever he said or did was in perfect communion with God, in perfect harmony with the cosmos. As soon as he said that, without knowing, without thinking, a reply jumped out of me. I said, Bhagwan, if I jump into this fire, I will come out as pure gold. This fire cannot burn me down. It will bring out only the pure gold. I was surprised myself. I did not even imagine this reply. The reply jumped out spontaneously. It must have come from the source. It didn't certainly come through my brain. And suddenly there was a change in his countenance. His face became radiant and red. He raised his hand and there was a smile on his lips. And he kept blessing me for quite some time after that. And much, much later, years later, he told me that his father, the Supreme Father, was pleased with my reply. So you see, the yogis are like fire. One should be very, very careful not to disturb every gesture, every look, every step that he took, every look that he gave, every word he spoke, every gesture he made was in tune with the whole cosmos, in tune with his Father's work. And he would not put up with any distraction. There was another incident in the life of Shri Perumal Raju. One weekend, when he and his wife, Mahalakshmi Amma, they were preparing to come to Tiruvannamalai. And Mahalakshmi Amma always made rotis, the chapatis, and potato sabji, and some kheer for Bhagwan. Bhagwan used to take them with great love from her. So she got it ready, and just then 2 people had come from the government, the local municipality, the engineer and the Tahsildar. They had come to know that these people are going regularly to see Yogi Ramsuratkumar of Tiruvannamalai. So they came and asked, please, can we join you? We would also like to have that darshan. Perumal Raju was very, very reluctant. He always knew that Bhagwan did not like people well known to him to come in strange company. So he wanted to say no, but his wife, Mahalakshmi Amma, she's a mother. She thought, okay, they are local people, they want to have darshan of Bhagwan, so why not? And then, coming to know that these people are preparing chapatis and sabjis, those people also prepared varieties of food. And they also brought them with them. So these people traveled together in a government jeep. And they stopped it a little away from the Sannadhi Street house and walked down. Surprisingly, Bhagwan was seated on one of the steps outside his house, as though he was waiting for these people to come. And as soon as he saw Perumal Raju and Mahalakshmi Amma, he gave a brilliant, bewitching smile and said, Perumal, you have come? "Oh Mahalakshmi, come both of you." And he was about to get up to take them inside, and suddenly he saw these two friends. "Perumal, who are these friends?" And then Shri Perumal Rajvaya introduced them. You see, when they were coming in the jeep, those two people were saying, we would go straight to Swami, and after that we would go to Arunachaleshwar Mandir, and then to Ramanashram. So they were planning. They had programs. Now Bhagavan just looked at them once and said, "Now you people have come to this beggar. You can go to Arunachaleshwar Mandir and then to Ramanashram. After that, you can come back here and take these people back to Krishnagiri." They were surprised because this is what they were planning and also expressing to Shri Perumal Raju. Perumal Raju, when they said that, he retorted. He said, "We are all going to have darshan of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Why don't you pay attention to that? Why don't you think of him? Just put your mind to one program. Let's not plan anything when we go for darshan of the great masters." But they would not listen. They were planning. They had no idea what Bhagavan was like. Now Bhagavan dismissed them immediately. But then he said, "Mahalakshmi, you used to bring something for this beggar. Have you brought anything?" Immediately she smiled and said, "Yes, Swami, I brought chapatis and sabji." Then he said, "Mahalakshmi, this beggar would like only what you prepared. Will you bring your chapatis and sabjis?" For 1 minute, because Mahalakshmi Amma knew that those people had brought varieties of food specially made for him, for one single moment she hesitated. She did not know what to say. Immediately Bhagavan said, "Perumal, you go to the jeep and bring only what Mahalakshmi has prepared." Perumal Rajvaya didn't know what vessels she had brought. In any case, he started to walk towards the jeep. And those two people also accompanied him. Now again they were planning. You see, they played a trick. Since Perumal Rajvaya did not know what vessels Mahalakshmi had particularly brought, what they did was, they gave the box of chapatis made by them, by their people, and the carrier which carried the sabji, the potato sabji, and the kheer. So one vessel was what Mahalakshmi Amma made, the other was from those two friends. Perumal Raju had no idea. He brought both of them. But as soon as Bhagavan saw that, he said, "No, you give me the carrier alone." He returned the box of chapatis to those people and said, "Now you people can go. You please go to the temple and then to Ramanashram." And Mahalakshmi Amma's chapatis were left out in the jeep. Bhagavan would not have them. He said, "It's enough, this carrier." He took that inside, and those two people also, Perumal Rajvaya and Mahalakshmi. And then he opened the carrier himself. He mixed the kheer with sabji, the potato sabji, and ate up the whole thing. So you see, once again, it proves these great masters know every thought of ours. So one should not play with fire. But of course, whatever he did, even his shouting at people would be a great blessing to them. This is what Bhagavan said. Whatever this beggar does will be a blessing. I remember another time in Sannadi Street House, there were people inside and Bhagavan was busy working on them. And suddenly there was a loud knock at the door. He ignored it first, and the knock became louder. Again he ignored, and the third time it was still more loud. Then Bhagavan sent somebody out to say that he was busy. But the man would not hear of it. He began to knock at the door persistently. Immediately Bhagavan got up in a jump. He went out with a force, and people inside could hear him shouting at him, "Go away. This beggar is very busy. Can't you see? Go away." He shouted, and those people immediately left, frightened. So people inside were thinking that Bhagavan was so angry, and they were also very afraid. They were trembling. But as soon as Bhagavan stepped inside, he started to laugh. He said, "That Leela is over. This is a different Leela now." You see, Bhagavan always said there was no individual living in his body. It was Father, the Divine Father, the Supreme Father. And every look, every word he uttered, every step that he took, every gesture he made, it was Supreme Father expressing himself to suit a situation, to suit a company of people. As I said yesterday, so many habits of Bhagavan were like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, that when I was attached to Ramakrishna Mat, I had prayed and prayed and cried, begging Ramakrishna that I should find somebody like him. And after Bhagavan came to live in Sudama, to my great surprise and delight, I found him walking and talking like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. The way he wore the dhoti, the way he walked, the way he would sit down. And sometimes he would go into ecstatic dance or singing. And sometimes I had seen Sharadamma in him, so loving, so tender, so patient, so loving. And I had seen Swami Vivekananda in him when he made certain declarations about India, the Vedas, the Sanatana Dharma. Like I said yesterday, I saw all the three of them in him.